To every Tracy YouTube channel. In today's class, we'll be learning how to make this beautiful A-line dress with a basque effect and the M-line. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beginner friendly. This is something you like to learn. Kindly stay tuned till the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So for this tutorial, I'm using this Ankara fabric. It's a single fabric, but it has like double print. This is more like, it's not flowery, while the upper part of the fabric is flowery. So I'm going to be using this flowery part for the main part of the fabric of the bodice, and the gathers will be with this other print. So I have my fabric folded into four. So you first fold your fabric into two like this, you can see. Then you fold it again into four. This is because I'm cutting both the front and back together, and the length that I'm using to fold this is 30 inches. My full length is 40 inches, so I'm going to be adding the gather, a 10 inches gathers to it. So I'm going to subtract that from my full length, and that will leave me with 30 inches. So I have 30 inches length here, and the width is my hip measurement divided by 4 plus hip measurement. My hip measurement is 46, divided by 4 is going to give me, so like I was saying, my hip is 46, divided by 4 is going to give me around 11.5 inches. So this is 11.5. Because I want this to be like an hairline, I'm adding extra 3 inches to it, so I have around 14.5 to 15 inches. So you're going to use that to fold your fabric into 4, which means you're going to multiply that 15 by 4, and that's going to give you around 60 inches. And then I added 2 inches allowance for my zipper allowance for the back, so I have about 62 inches by 30 inches here for my fabric. So I'm just going to arrange it well, make sure they are equal, and then I'll start to draft my bodice. Shoulder is 16 inches, divided by 2 is going to give me 8 inches. Sorry, so I have 8 inches here, and I'm measuring from the center front. Remember, this is just the zipper extension. So here I'm going to go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. For your neckline, it depends on the neckline you want to work with. I want the width of my neckline to be around 4 inches, and then the depth for the back 1.5 inches, and the depth for the front will be 4 inches as well. Feel free to choose the neck width and depth that you want to work with. So using my curved ruler, I'm going to connect this measurement. Then I'm going to connect my shoulder slope to the neck point. So from my shoulder again, I'm going to measure my armhole, which is 9 inches as well, and I'll connect that and measure my bust measurement. The bust is 44 inches, divided by 4 is 11, plus seam allowance of 1.5 plus ease of 1/2 inch, because I don't want it too tight, so I'm adding extra 2 inches to that. And then I'm going to use my curved ruler to draw my armhole curve. Okay, it's a very simple dress. So after drawing your armhole curve, I'm going to locate my half length, which is 16 inches, and also my hip line. My hip line is 26 inches. So I also make that into a straight line, and I'm going to take my waist measurement. The waist measurement is 26 inches, divided by 4 is 9 inches. I'm going to add half an inch for ease also, or even 1 inch, because I don't want it tight at all. And then I'll add extra 1.5 inches. Remember, I've added ease already to this, so I'm adding 1.5. Remember, the 2 inches I added for this, half an inch for ease and 1.5 for seam allowance. So because I already added 1 inch for ease here, I'm just adding 1.5 inch for my seam allowance. Then I'll go over to the lower part, which is the hip line. Then I'll take my hip measurement, which is 11.5, 46/3. Then I'm adding extra thinking, so I'll just exhaust what I have here, and then I'm going to maintain that measurement on the hemline also. But I'm just leaving it as it is because it's going to have like a basque effect on the lower area, so we'll still get to that. So the next thing is for me to connect all of my measurements together. So I'll connect the bust to the waist and the waist to the hip, slanted like this in form of an A-line gown. Then I'm going to correct any sharp points that I have here. So now we move to the hem of the dress. Remember our hip line stops here, which is 26 inches, and this is the actual length is 30 inches. Then I added allowance to it. So for my basque effect, I'm just going to go up by 5 inches, okay, which is here. You can also make it exactly on your hip line, but this is just like half an inch below my hip line. Then I'm going to come here now, and then I'm going to draw a diagonal line from that point all the way to the center front here to create that basque effect. So it's a simple dress, it does not have that or anything, it's just a free dress. So once I create that, I'm going to cut it off, and then I'll also cut the side of my dress. So at this point, if you're adding a lining to this, you cut your lining exactly the same way you have cut out your main bodice. But I'm not fixing a lining to this, so I'm just going to weave the rough edges so that it can be neat. So for the neckline, you're going to cut out the back neckline first, and then you raise the front neckline and also cut it out, and then we cut out our shoulder slope. So that is it for the dress. As you can see, it's very simple to make. So I'll set it aside now. So for the lower part, my actual length is 40 inches. I subtracted 10 inches from it, which is what the 30 inches that I used to draft my body. So to complete this now, I need a fabric of 10 inches for the lower part. So now I have 11 inches here. That's 10 inches plus 1 inch allowance to attach this to the upper part. So now I have this fabric here, depending on how wide you want it to, how full you want the gathers to be, but you can also measure what you have on your hem here, okay, and then you multiply by 4. So here I have around 16 inches. If I multiply 16 inches by 4, I'm going to have around 64 inches. So you can just multiply that by 1.5 or 2 inches, depending on the amount of fabric that you have to work with, and that is going to be how long this strip of fabric is going to be. I hope you understand that. So you just measure what you have, or you can just sew it. So after you finish sewing it, measure around what you have on your hem, and then multiply that by 1.5 or 2 inches. Then that's how long your strip of fabric is going to be, and then the length is what is going to complete your full dress. So now I'll go ahead now and join this. So I'm going to sew the front and back together on the shoulder. I'm going to close my zipper allowance tentatively and also join it together on the side. Then after joining it together on the side, I'm going to gather all of this to it, okay, but there is a design at the center front. This is actually optional, but I like to add this. So to make this easier for me, I would like to add the design at the center front first before I join my front and back together. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to be adding this design that we have there. So as a guide, you need to know where you want this to stop. For me, I want it to stop around my bust point area. So this is 11 inches, so I'm going to add half an inch to it, and that's 11.5. So I have it here tentatively. This is the right side of my fabric, so I don't want it to be too, the markings to be too bold. Also on the shoulder area, I want it to be like 1.5 inches away from this, because I'm still going to hem this part. So now I have it like that. The next thing is for me to just connect it diagonally. So you feel free to connect this anyhow you want. You can use your free hand, or if you have a curve that you want to work with, you can just use your curve to connect this together anyhow you want your design to sit. So this is just me trying to form a design. So once you have your design like that, whatever it is that you have, you're going to try to mirror it on the other side so that you have exactly the same thing. Okay, so like I said, this shape that you have here, you're going to mirror it on the other side, which is what I have done. I just picked it here now, and then I started marking dotted lines. So you pick it at randoms, then you turn it to the other side to join it together. So this is what I have, and once I open it out, you can see that I have my complete shape. Like I said, I hope you can see it. I don't want the chalk markings to be so bold on it, so that it can easily clean up, because this is the right side of the fabric. So after doing that, now I'm going to cut out another strip of fabric of this plain material, and this is around, this fabric is around 3 inches. Okay, it's not even up to 3 inches. So I've already hemmed it, and then I run a gather stitch here. So I'm just going to gather it to this measurement, and I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and attach it to it. So you can weave this rough edge, or you can just line it so that it can be neat before you gather this. Okay, so I've gone ahead to attach it to it, and then I just top stitched on it. It's optional, but because it's small, I don't want it flying around, so I just top stitch so that it can lay down very well. So now I'm going to lay the front on the back and join it on the shoulder and also on the side. So after joining the shoulder to the side, I'm also going to gather the fabric around the hem, and then I'll bring it back to show us what it looks like. Okay, so I've gone ahead to join it on the shoulder, as you can see, and also on the side. So I also gathered this fabric on the hem. So turning it out now, this is what it looks like. The dress is almost ready, and it's so beautiful. So this is what we have so far. Now we are going to fix our sleeve. So for this, I'm fixing a basic sleeve. This is just a basic sleeve. I have a tutorial on how to draft it already on the channel. If you don't know how to draft a basic sleeve, then I'm going to add this straight fabric to the hem also. I only have a little, as you can see. It's not even up to double of, okay, so it's around 2 of this. So I'm just going to gather it to the hem of the sleeve, just like I have on the main dress. Then after gathering it to the hem, I'm going to fix the sleeve to the armhole. So I'll do all this also and bring it back to show us. I've gone to add the sleeve, and this is what the sleeve looks like, and this is the other sleeve. Then I pipe the neckline with a bias, so you can just finish off the rough edges with your fishing line, or you can weave it. So for the back, I decided not to add a zipper because the neckline is quite wide and the head can pass through it easily. So if your neckline is small, then you will need this zipper allowance. So this is what it looks like, and I'm going to take it to the mannequin now so that I can see a better view of the dress. So this is what the full outfit looks like on the mannequin. You can see the design we have in front. This is the sleeve, and this is the hem of the dress. It's a very simple dress, and it's really beautiful. I hope you enjoyed making this tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.